The morning sun cast a golden glow over the city of Lagos, bouncing off the glass windows of tall buildings and making the busy streets shimmer. Honking cars clogged the roads, their drivers impatient as pedestrians weaved between them. The air buzzed with the usual sounds of the city, laughter, chatter, and the rhythmic calls of street vendors. In the middle of all this stood the grandest school in the area, an elite academy for girls. The school's tall gates opened to reveal a vast compound, clean and well-kept, with a playground large enough to fit an entire football team. The buildings were bright and modern, with large windows that let in the warm sunlight. The students, dressed in their neat uniforms, walked in organized lines, chatting softly as they moved to their classes. Among the students there's a girl who is always coming out top of her class, and she puts in the hard work by making sure to study hard. She's attentive in class, and when questions are asked she makes sure to put her hands up to give correct answers, and for this reason she was known and loved by her school headmistress and parents. When the school term ends she usually comes first among the other girls. She's pretty but decent in dressing. The name of this girl was Linda. She was known as the smartest student in Elite Academy for girls. Every term, without fail, she took the first position in her class. It wasn't just luck, Linda worked for it. While other students spent their free time gossiping or scrolling through their phones, Linda was always reading, solving equations, or writing essays. But despite being the top student, she wasn't arrogant. She was polite, always ready to help anyone struggling with their studies. She dressed neatly, her uniform always crisp and properly ironed. Though she was naturally pretty, she never bragged about it. Her focus was on her studies, and nothing else. Many admired her. Some were jealous. But Linda didn't let it get to her. Linda sat at the front of the class, her back straight, her eyes focused on the math problems on the board. Numbers had always made sense to her. They were logical, predictable, unlike people. The math teacher, Mr. Damale, stood at the front, explaining an equation. He was young, in his late 20s, and one of the most admired teachers in the school. But as he spoke, his gaze kept drifting, not to the board, not to the other students, but to Linda. At first, Linda didn't notice. She was too busy writing down notes, making sure to understand every step. But after a while, the feeling of being watched became impossible to ignore.